Hey guys, it's Elisa Ace, spiritual medium, connecting you to your family, friends, and pets in spirit. Welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to do something a little fun, kind of like a story time, where I'm going to be telling you about the experiences that I've had where I have seen spirit with the naked eye. Spirit, other dimensional beings, ghosts, spookies, whatever you want to call it. I wanted to tell you guys about some of the experiences that I've had. So the first experience I had, I'm just going to let you know now, was kind of a negative being. I don't know what you would even call this, but out of all the ones I'm going to tell you about today, this is the only like scary one or negative one. But I think there was a reason for it, so don't freak out too much. So it was actually when I was a child. I spent a lot of time at my grandma's house. My grandma was my favorite person ever to walk the earth, always will be. However, the house that she had when I was growing up, which I was always over there, even lived with her for a while, spent the night all the time. It was just me and her all the time. And that house got broken into all the time. She lived very close to a bar. I mean, you could throw a rock and hit the bar. That's how close it was. So her house got broken into. I was with her one of the times when we came home from doing laundry and running errands when her house had been broken into, and my cat Rosie was, our cat Rosie was there, and she was so upset, but she was unharmed and lived a very long life. Anyways, that house definitely, I would say, is haunted. I had a family member who also told me years later that she saw a spirit in my grandma's room. So that is like the earliest time in my life where I, looking back now, realize that I was sensitive to the spirit world, which would have been when I was 5, 6, 7. I was always playing dress up, playing house, make believe, Barbies, whatever, in her long hallway, kind of a dark, long hallway she had in this house. And I always felt like something was watching me. And it was the creepiest feeling. And subconsciously, I knew, I was always like, this doesn't feel right. There's something weird about this because there's nobody else here, but I feel like I'm being watched all the time. I would spend the night at her house, and I would be way too scared to go to her room to get in the bed until she came with me. But she had this long nighttime routine with putting all this different stuff on her face, how ladies are. And I was just so terrified, just trying to make excuses to why I was hanging outside the bathroom door, trying to talk to her and not go into the room and wait for her there all alone. It was so scary. And for good reason, because there's definitely something, I don't know. I really don't know, but there's something in her house. So she had this night light on that she would turn on in the hallway that shined light into her bedroom. Other than that, it was dark. So you could, from her bed where we would be, I could see light coming in to her open bedroom door from the hallway. It was enough to illuminate, somewhat. So anyways, I must have been around 8, I want to say. I'm not exactly sure, but I want to say about 8. And I just woke up in the middle of the night. And so she was in the bed. She was closest to the door. And then I'm laying right behind her in the same bed. Small, 8-year-old. And I just woke up in the middle of the night, looked up, and there was this thing. I don't even know how to describe it. It was, okay, so obviously because of the nightlight in the hallway, I could see the shape of it very clearly. And it had a head and big shoulders, a little bit kind of shaggy though on the edges. But it was too wide. It was too wide to be a man. And it was huge, like, I don't know, 6'4", 6'5", at least. And it was blacker than black. I mean, it was pitch black. You could not make out a feature, no facial features, nothing. Pure black. And I think it had a hat. This is so long ago, I could barely remember, but I think it had a hat. And I remember telling a few people over the years about that experience, and I clearly remember a couple different people saying, "Oh, that was the Hat Man," and me thinking, "What's the Hat Man?" Kind of like a wide brim type of hat, and I was like, "What's the Hat Man?" I don't like, supposedly it's like a folklore or a myth or something. I don't know, but it was standing right up against the bed, so I was looking up at it. It was right there, so close to me. And with every breath that it took, I could see its shoulder. So, and it sounded and looked like this, like that. And I was terrified, paralyzed in fear. And it just kept going. The experience just kept going so long that I clearly remember the sweat dripping into my eyes and burning my eyes. And so I had this notion, like maybe I should poke my grandma in the back since I'm behind her back, slowly poke her in the back, like so slowly that maybe he won't see. Try to poke her and wake her up so she can see this thing and protect me. But I wouldn't been able, I would have had to move to where he would see a movement in my body, and I was just frozen, absolutely frozen in fear. I don't know if you've ever been actually literally frozen in fear. It's not a good time. And so it lasted so long that I eventually fell asleep from pure exhaustion. So I've thought about that over the years, because that's the only, all of my experiences with the spirit world have been, mostly positive, some absolutely amazing. And I've always known and felt so protected. I know my boundaries. I know my power. I'm the one with the body. I make the rules. I tell people all this time. I tell this to people all the time. If they tell me that they're scared about this or scared about that, I'm like, don't forget, you're the one in the body. You make the rules. So I don't know. Did this thing come because it knew that I could see and sense spirit? Did it just want it to make itself seen? Did it happen so that I would have this experience to look back on, so that I could know that I could in fact see the spirit world? I don't know. But nothing bad ever came of it. My grandma lived many, many, many more decades. So anyways, yeah, that was the first experience. I don't really have an explanation for it. All I know is that house had negative energy. It was creepy. With it being right by the bar, I don't know if that was it. She lived in this big city, a lot of crime at that time. So yeah, that's the first experience. So another one of my experiences, which might be one of my favorites, I was at an Abraham Hicks seminar. Most of you guys know who Abraham Hicks, I think. She's a channel. It used to be her and her husband until he passed away, and they do seminars all over the world. They've published many, many books. They used to do cassettes where you could order cassettes or CDs. Now they have cruises. I mean, if you don't know who Abraham Hicks is, look them up. They're all over YouTube. And so it was either the first or the second one that I had ever been to. It was 1997, I believe. So I was a teenager, giving away my age. And the seminar was in a hotel banquet hall type of thing. It must have been about 100 people in the audience. And a woman took me, a family of the friend kind of thing. And so anyways, during the seminar, some young guy raises his hand and asks a question to Esther, which is the woman who speaks, the woman who is channeling Abraham, which is a group of non-physical beings. They say that there are about 100 or so non-physical beings. So beings that have never had a life in a physical body. So higher dimensional beings, very wise, I guess you could say. And so, but she's channeling. So he's talking to her in third person. She's Esther, but she's in the middle of channeling. So he says to her, I see an aura around Esther's head. Am I imagining this? And then she says, while channeling Abraham, says, no, you're not imagining it. We're here. Of course we're here. We're all around if you just pay attention. And then all of a sudden, after she said that, the whole, or a big portion of the audience gasped in unison. And it really woke me up. And I thought, and I looked up, and she was on a stage, right? And I looked behind her, and there were what I could only describe as light beings walking back and forth across the stage behind her. They looked like the shape of humans, but skinnier and stretched out, and they were made out of pure light. I couldn't believe my eyes. And then there were also light orbs, bouncing off the, bouncing off the walls and the ceiling, ding, 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 yeah, it was weird. And I was just oh my gosh. And the lady that took me, interestingly enough, she was a millionaire who owned a psychic reading company, but she couldn't see anything. And it was weird because I started paying attention, listening to it, because it was like a frenzy. Everyone was oh my God. In the audience, and I would say about half the audience could see it and the other half couldn't. And so she was what? And I'm look, right there. And she was what? I don't see anything. She was so irritated that she couldn't see it. And I thought, wow, that's so crazy. So that was one of my earlier experiences. And I will add a picture if I can find it that I saw one time when I was scrolling Instagram, and I thought, oh my, that's exactly what they look like, except for the ones I saw were just pure white light. There was no blue or weird colors on the inside of them. And I've heard people, many accounts from people that go to Joe Dispenza, retreats, those week-long retreats that he has, that I wish I could go to. They're very, very expensive, and I heard very hard to get into. Like literally, you have to be waiting for when the tickets go on sale at the computer, and then they sell out in like 60 seconds or 90 seconds or something crazy like that. And I'm like, okay, one day I'm gonna make it. I'm going to manifest it. One day I'm going to make it to a Joe Dispenza retreat. And so anyways, you hear so many people saying that they see blue beings, so maybe extraterrestrial in nature, or they see light beings. So many amazing things happen. People have like Kundalini awakenings, or their heart chakra bursts open, or whatever. And I gotta go. I have to be there to see that, and just to have the experience of meditating with thousands of people at once and that kind of thing. So yeah, that was another one of my experiences, which I absolutely love. So speaking of orbs. I have done, so I'm a spiritual medium. If you're new here, I'm a spiritual developing evidential medium in my 5th, almost 6th year of development. And I would say I've done around roughly 2,000 readings, including practice readings and professional readings, somewhere around there. So a lot of readings, and only about 6, maybe 7 times, I'd say, in my readings, which I do over video call, Facebook Messenger video call, where I can see my client and they can see me, about 6 or 7 times. I'll log on, and then we'll start talking. And then usually the first time I see it, I don't know why I would doubt something at this point. Like, it's so crazy how the human brain works. Sometimes I doubt it the first time I see it, but then it makes itself seen again. And then I'm like kind of in shock, like that. And I remember the first couple times I'm like I couldn't get it out. And then finally I'm like, do you see like in the video, you can see yourself, right? When you're video calling with somebody, you can see you can see yourself little in the corner. So actually that would probably make it really hard for them to see what the orb I was seeing, because their video of themselves is small in the top corner kind of thing. But I saw a light orb that had like a light tail, kind of like a tail made out of light. And it was flying around her head like that. And I was just staring and then finally my brain was like, screenshot it, you dummy, screenshot it. And it was like slow motion. So I'm like reaching to screenshot it. And of course it disappears right before I screenshot. I'm like, no. So I've seen that about 7 times. Once was very recent, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. It was an older woman I was having a reading with in Asia. I was connecting to her dog, and sure enough, the first time I doubted it. The second time I'm like just staring, and she didn't even know what an orb was. She had never heard of the word orb. I probably freaked her out a little bit because I was like, look. But my favorite one was when I was connecting this woman to her father in spirit, and the same thing, orb with the light tail, but it was this beautiful, brilliant colored blue. And there it was, just flying around her head. So I love when I can see that kind of thing. In my readings, I see things out of the corner of my eye, like in my house, wherever I'm doing the reading. I've seen that a million times. Other weird stuff will happen once, not all the time, but on occasion, especially when I'm connecting to a younger spirit, like somebody who crossed over as a teenager or crossed over in their 20s. They will while I'm in the reading over video call, they will take me out of that screen. On my phone, my phone will just start moving on its own. Like it'll start switching pages, like closing that page and opening up another page, but not ending the call. But I'll just be sitting there watching something, using my phone, taking control of my phone. That's happened. Same thing, probably like 6, 7, 8 times or so. So I love when that kind of stuff happens too. So another time, I had a family member. And I was there when their cat was unfortunately passing away at home, and they could not handle the experience. I don't know if you've ever seen a cat pass naturally, but sometimes it can be graphic and long. So that's why I always tell people, like, if you know the quality of life of your pet is gone, or they're suffering, if you have the opportunity. In my opinion, this is totally just my opinion, and I respect everybody's opinion if somebody wants to let their pet pass naturally. But for me, I'm going to end my baby's suffering if I know we're at the end kind of thing. But everybody has to make their own decision, and everything happens for a reason. So this cat was having to pass naturally, and they couldn't handle it. And so I went in the room with that cat and stayed with that cat until it crossed. Now, I didn't care for that cat, and I love animals. Love animals. Vegan, like major animal lover. And so it's a big deal if I don't like a cat. Siamese, maybe it's because I got scratched in the eye by our Siamese cat when I was 2 or 3 years old. But anyways, didn't care for the cat. And the cat didn't really like me either. However, I guess because I stayed with that cat as it was crossing, when I woke up the next morning, at the edge on the other side of my bed, there was the cat. Looked exactly like her, except for it was a little bit see-through. And she was just laying there in the little bundle that they lay in, the little ball they lay in. And I I went like that to see if it was real. And there she was. It lasted maybe 5, 6, 7 seconds. And, I think maybe she just showed herself, to say thank you. And so that I could tell, the family member, like, oh, she's okay. She's fine. She's in the spirit world. She's good to go. So that was really interesting. I have also seen astral animals. So one of the first ones is, I woke up. So as most of you know, we leave our body almost every night when you're in the deepest level of sleep. So your consciousness leaves your body and you're traveling either the earth realm or the astral realm usually. And so, when you first wake up, that second that you wake up, when you're in the middle of sleep and awake, it's called the hypnagogic state. You are in the hypnagogic state right as you're falling asleep at night, right? When you're right in the middle. That is one of the easiest ways for people and pets in spirit to get to you, to show you a flash of them or for you to hear them or whatever, to have some kind of experience of them. And also right when you're waking up in the morning. And so it was right when I was waking up in the morning. I was in between sleep and awake. I opened my eyes and my bed is up against the wall. And there on the wall are these huge spiders crawling up. I mean, massive. There's no way. They weren't like, real spiders. And they had like this vibrating frequency to them. It's hard to explain. And I jumped halfway clear across my bed because I was the last thing I was expecting. And I was like, what the hell was that? You know what I mean? And then over time, I started reading several accounts online of people that have seen astral spiders. I'm like, whoa, it's a thing? Okay, that explains it. That doesn't explain why I woke up one time and saw astral parakeets kind of next to my bed, next to my window. It looked real, and I was looking, and then it slowly disappeared, and I thought, whoa. And we had parakeets when I was growing up, but it didn't look like any of the parakeets we had. It was just some random parakeet. So I don't understand, but it's crazy. The things you can see when you're in the hypnagogic state is wild. Like, ask anybody who has sleep paralysis, and they'll probably tell you that they've seen some really crazy stuff, probably scary stuff. Not because it's real, not because it's, like if they say like, oh yeah, I saw a demon, or a demon was sitting on my chest or something like that. Doesn't mean that the demon's real. That just means that as soon as you realize that you can't, I have a whole video on this. Maybe I'll link it at the end of the video. But when you realize that you can't move, fear is going to take over your mind, right? And when you're out of body or halfway out of body, when you're in the astral realm, things manifest instantly. There's no delay like there is here in the earth realm. On the astral realm, things will manifest instantly. And if you're in the state of fear, then you are going to create whatever it is that you most fear. So that might be, you might see some scary ass clown. You might see something that looks demonic. It just depends on what scares you the most. And so, yeah, ask somebody what they've seen, if you know somebody who's had sleep paralysis and that kind of thing. So, yeah, astral spiders and astral parakeets. I also had the most amazing experience I've ever had, amazing paranormal experience I've ever had with my soul cat Lotus after he crossed. And I made a whole video on this, so I'm not going to go into detail. I will try to link it at the top of the video, at the end of this video, if you want to watch that. But that one was amazing. Same thing, woke up the morning after he crossed, was hearing him purring super loud, and I was still in between sleep and awake, so in that hypnagogic state, and saw him out of my peripheral jump from my recliner onto my bed, felt him lick my lips, which he always used to do, just like a little lick like that. I know some people think that's gross, but that's what, I let him kiss me back in the day. And it felt so weird. It felt different than when he, licked my lip when he was alive. And anyways, the experience kept going and going. He was on my bed. I was petting him. It was his fur. And I thought, if this is still going, maybe I can, I didn't want it to end. I didn't want to open my eyes because I didn't want the experience to end. But then I thought, it's still going. So why don't I just try? So I slowly started to, open my eyes, and every my room looked like this grayish blue, which is what it kind of looks like in the astral realm. Anyways, it's a long story. So I'll link that video at the end so you can watch that. But so I am also like an amateur paranormal investigator. I'll go stay the night at haunted hotels, visit, go on ghost tours, do my own investigations. I go to graveyards, all that kind of thing. I have stayed in haunted hotels in Virginia City, Nevada, which is known to be one of the most haunted towns in America. The show Ghost Adventures has done many, many episodes there. As a matter of fact, their first episode ever was in Virginia City. And so I was staying at this one hotel, the Gold Hill Hotel, which was the first hotel built there. And all these hotels were built in the 1800s. And I asked the owner, I said, I want the most haunted room. And he was like, okay, are you sure? Like, our housekeepers won't even go in there without having an open Bible in the room. And I'm like, I want that room. And so they told me that the ghost of a miner named William, who passed away in a fire, that was his room. And they said there's like 3 or 4 ways that he'll let you know if he's there. So this is what you want to look out for. If the faucet comes on, if the closet door opens by itself, if the light goes on and off, or if you smell his cherry cigar. Of course, none of it happened except for I did get haunted in my dreams that night. And when I stayed at the Silver Queen Hotel, which is also in Virginia City, same thing. I was like hoping something would happen. Nothing happened except for I got really haunted in my dreams that night, which is kind of worse because it feels real. So anyways, I did take a lot of pictures though, in all the old saloons while we were on the ghost tour, like hoping to capture something, and I did. And I will put that picture here about now. And so you can see that there's like spirit matter outside the Washoe Club. So the Washoe Club was a place where they would store the bodies of people that died in the winter because the ground would freeze. So they couldn't do funerals and stuff in the winter because the ground was frozen, because this is in the mountains of Nevada. So they would store them, and you can take a tour and they take you back into it's not called a morgue. What is it called? I can't remember off the top of my head, but you can go in there. It's like made out of stone, and that's where they stored the bodies. So very haunted. They even have an after hours ghost tour that you can take in the pitch black at like 10 o'clock at night upstairs in the Washoe Club. Super creepy. Definitely recommend it if you're into that kind of thing. So yeah, I love this picture. I keep meaning to get a hold of them to show them my picture, because they put certain people's pictures on the walls, people who have captured really cool pictures. So I keep forgetting to do that. But anyways, after that trip, I was at home like a week later, just walking in broad daylight, walking through the living room, walking to my kitchen, when all of a sudden, and I was by myself, I smelled super strong a cherry cigar. All the hair on my body went up. And immediately I was like, okay, don't react, because if this is the spirit of William wanting to make himself known, and at that time, this was before I was a medium, there was some fear, and I was like, well, don't react, because that might be what he wants, So I just kept going about my business. It went away. A few days later, it happened a second time, and I thought, oh shit. I ignored it, and again, it went away, and then nothing ever happened again after that. That's the only time that I've ever brought something home, or that kind of thing. But again, my beliefs. So your belief system plays a huge role in what you experience and what you don't experience. Your belief system is everything. It dictates your entire reality. And my belief system is that I am divinely protected. So I've never, been in any kind of danger with I've been to some really dark places actually. So I thought that was interesting, the cherry cigar. I stayed at another super haunted hotel before, had the whole hotel to ourselves, didn't know. It was like a few days before Halloween. I'm talking like this is built in the 1800s. So there's a saloon on the first floor. Upstairs is the hotel, and then on the third floor was the brothel. So I'm talking cowboys, prostitutes, the whole nine. And they did not tell us that we had the whole hotel to ourselves. And we were like, oh my, we were so freaked out. That place definitely haunted. I also did a video on that. I don't know if I'm going to have room to link all these videos, but I'll either link them here or I'll link them in the pinned comment. Always check my pinned comment in the comment section below. It'll be pinned to the top of the comments, because that's where you'll find all my links, all my socials, videos, that kind of stuff. So I'll try to link it there. That place is awesome. But anyways, when we went in our room, I mean, this hotel is so old. There's no central heat, nothing. There's only like a standing heater, kind of thing, like really, really old, like clawfoot bathtub kind of thing. And it smelled totally of flowers when we walked into the room. It smelled like a old-fashioned flowers, though, like a floral perfume kind of thing. And turns out that there's a prostitute who supposedly got pushed out of the window, or sorry, they say she fell out of the window, but the truth was that she got pushed. I'm not sure. What was her name? Myrna, I think her name was, like a famous ghost of that hotel. And she's the one who is said to smell floral, smell like flowers. So that was really interesting too. So I used to be a nomad, like living full-time in a vehicle, like traveling the country, living in the desert, that kind of thing. And they call it van life, nomad life, whatever. And it was very common to go to travel with people or to camp with people that you meet, caravans, they call it. And you are at a campfire every single night with a big group of people, music or whatever. And so I was with older people at this time, and they knew a lot about astronomy, and they had one of those lights that you shine up in the sky, and you can literally see the light on this thing all the way up there, and they would be teaching me the constellations. It was really cool. And we would see satellites, like, what do they call them? Something X, satellites, because this was in Arizona. At first I was like, what is that? And they're like, no, it's not an extraterrestrial, calm down, that's just a satellite. And then I learned what a satellite looks like. But there was a night where I saw something, but I was sitting in the opposite direction of the way everybody else was sitting. And so I saw it, and it was pretty fast. It looked like a red circle that was kind of like vibrating a little bit. I don't know how to explain it. Like, yeah. And before I could say anything, it was like this, like vibrating, and then it collapsed on itself and then disappeared. And I thought, look. But they were faced the other way. So by the time they turned around, there was nothing there. I told them what I saw, and they're like, okay, whatever you say, sure. You know what I mean? And I was like, no, I swear. And it was like, I don't know, like a week later or something, we all happened to be sitting the same way. And there it was again. And I'm like, look, as fast as I could, because I so badly wanted them to see. And this time they saw it, and they're like, whoa, you weren't lying. And I'm like, I told you. So if you believe in extraterrestrials, Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, these are the states that you want to camp in, travel in. I have seen some crazy stuff. I have experienced many things that I could never explain in these states. I did a whole video on that too. The video is like called my paranormal experiences while doing van life, or my nomad life paranormal experiences, something like that. I'm not going to be able to remember to link all these videos, but just go to my video section on my channel. I only have so many videos right now, and you just scroll and you'll see it. I even have playlists, so you'll see that video too. That's a good one. And then you can sleep with the light on that night. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's not that scary, but I had several experiences that cannot be explained, and I put them all into a video, all the experiences I had while living off grid out there in the middle of nowhere. Okay, and so for the last one, it's not something that I saw, it's something that I heard. So this was when I was much younger. And I was doing a CD, listening to a CD, like kind of a meditation kind of thing to meet your spirit guides. That's what it was. And so it was the middle of the day. I'm sitting on my couch, eyes closed, in a meditative state, and they're telling you like to picture yourself in this kind of location, see what you see. Do you see somebody walking up to you? What do they look like? That kind of thing. And I was seeing people that, looked very specific, 4 of them. And I thought, well, what if I'm making this up? Like some of them are a little far-fetched what I'm seeing here. And the people look like they were from different eras too. And I'm like, are these supposed to be my spirit guides? Like, why do they all look so different? Like, am I just making this up? And then I heard my name called in my house. And I thought, maybe I just imagined. And then I don't know how many minutes later, but several minutes later, there it was again. I thought, okay, this is real. And what's crazy is I can't tell you if it was a feminine voice or a masculine voice. I cannot tell you. it was like it didn't have a gender, like it was this higher spiritual dimensional being, which they probably don't have gender, they're just spirit. So, okay, I'll go ahead and stop there. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you would like to book a reading with me, an evidential mediumship reading, then go ahead and check the pinned comment below. And you can message me on my Facebook mediumship page to do a video call to connect to a person or a pet in spirit. Follow me on my Facebook mediumship page, even if you don't want a reading, just because I do a lot of spiritual content on that page that is not on my YouTube. So definitely follow along on my Facebook, and I will see you guys in the next video. And also do not forget to let me know in the comments below one of your paranormal experiences. Like pick the best one that you've ever experienced. I want to hear about it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Bye.